And I'm gonna predict again the winner of The Voice 19th season, a restaurateur, and also has the best vodka, Smith's Works. You have to buy it. Mr. Blake Shelton, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the big build up there. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I love that song too. That's one of the best ones I love.
Thank you.
How'd you get to opening such? What was the idea of Old Red? I know it's one of the songs off your first album, what came from that into a restaurant?
You know, there's a guy named Colin Reed that I guess he's the president or CEO. I don't know what you call him, of Ryman Hospitality, and he's a friend of mine. I've known him for years, and he had approached me a couple of years in a row, maybe even 3 years in a row, about, hey man, why don't you open a restaurant? Like you're on TV and you're the guy that could do something like that, you know? And I just, every time I would just laugh at him, because I just thought, what are you talking about? Like there's a lot of things on my bucket list still, but restaurant was never one of them. I love going to restaurants and eating, obviously, but yeah. I never thought about opening one. And finally one day we were talking, and he said, man, I'm being serious. Let's do this together. And I said, man, I don't know how I tie into the food world, the food industry, the restaurant world, you know. I don't get that. And he was laughing. He said, man, you're missing the point altogether. It's whatever you want it to be, and you're all about music. Let's make a restaurant that is full of live music all the time, you know. And man, a light went off in my head, because automatically I start thinking about some of the cool bars that I've played in over the years, and some of those places that I'd been to over the years that I was just hired to come play in had great food. And then it all kind of made sense to me, you know. I can remember years and years ago, I was playing at the Grizzly Rose in Denver, Colorado, and that night they made us one of the best steaks still to this day that I've ever had. And I attached that memory to also being able to get on stage at the Grizzly Rose, which I'd heard about since I was a kid, you know, and I just attached those memories together. And so then it was just like, wow, I can do this. I think this does make sense for me. And if it's my personality and if it fits it, and more than anything, as it began to develop, the idea began to develop, the more, the idea of bringing in my voice contestants became, you know, a bigger part of this thing, and giving those guys and girls a home and a place they can always go set up and play and try out new music, or just keep that fan base going. And now that we've moved, you know, way on down the line, you know, we started in Tishomingo, Oklahoma, then Nashville, and now, and then Gatlinburg, and now Orlando. They've been able to way outside of me, and you know, I'm not smart enough to think of these things, but through Facebook Live and having these Battle of the Band competitions, you know, it takes it from just playing a small stage in a bar / restaurant, and puts it now on a national stage that, you know, people can be connected to these artists and learn more about them, see them, you know, in their element, doing what they do. It's just been amazing, you know. And even through a year like this, especially for, you know, our Orlando grand opening, I really don't feel like the grand opening's even happened yet. Still, I don't call it official till I can be there and do and cut the ribbon myself and get on the stage. And for me personally, that's a big deal to me, and it's going to happen whenever we know it can happen. You guys know as well as I do. I don't know when that is, but it is going to happen, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, what I love about your restaurant too, like the red phone, where anybody could pop up on the big screen, like you,
yeah.
One of your voice contestants, while you're eating, and it becomes interactive, which is really cool.
Yeah, that was one of the early ideas. I remember sitting in, you know, big meeting room, boardroom in Nashville, Tennessee, at the Ryman.
Cool.
Yeah, that was one of the early ideas. I remember sitting in this, big meeting room, boardroom in Nashville, Tennessee at the Ryman Hospitality offices. And that was one of the ideas that got thrown out there, and I was all over it, just the idea of it, almost like the bat phone, and I've used that thing a lot, probably not as much as I should, but man, I have used it a lot, and it's been a blast, because I actually can see in there and see the crowd, and it's really cool. It really is.
Yeah, Paul, my producer, he went to your Orlando location this summer.
Yeah, I was in Orlando back towards the end of July, and you walk in and you're amazed by how it does have a huge like concert performance area. The stage is so big, and you got great food. I was scarfing down the cornbread skillet as well, but like I was amazed like how big I mean, you had the tables there, and the Orlando restaurant was doing such a great job with COVID protocols. Like I felt very comfortable and very safe in there. When you got to your table, you can enjoy your food without your mask on. But everyone, it has like such a comfortable feeling and like an at-home feeling at the restaurant.
Yeah. And that was important. I wanted it to have that feeling. And I still have things, I'm not kidding, at my house in Oklahoma that I plan to take to the Orlando location and put in there right out of my house in Oklahoma, whether it's, awards or just memorabilia over the years. I have that stuff in all the locations, and I hadn't got to put my thumbprint in Orlando yet, but I'm glad to know from you that it's already has that feel, but I still feel like there's some finishing touches that I'm going to hold back until that I can do my official, grand opening when I get there.
Absolutely.
Well, next year marks the 20th anniversary of your first album, and also back then you have a mullet, and now it's in style 20 years later. So, which is the good part. Things come around.
Stay around long enough, it comes back.
Are you looking to do anything once everything is settled to do something for the anniversary of the album?
I think so. I think it would be a terrible missed step if we don't, and I hope we can, and I hope we can do it right, but definitely, it's a big deal to still, and I know that, to still, be doing this at this level 20 years later. I never would have dreamed. I remember when I first started, like the word around Nashville was, if you can get 7 years was like a huge, you did something if you had a 7-year long career. I don't know what that was based on, but I remember thinking, man, if I have a 7-year career, I did something, and that truly was my goal. If I could get a 7 or 10-year career, I never would have dreamed it was even possible to still be doing this 20 years later. But I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about Old Red is like a destination. Like I'm gonna go to Nashville once this is over with and go there for a vacation to visit Old Red.
Yeah.
I feel like somewhere you could go, and it's like something where you could hang out for a few days and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
It's so big, so many levels, and so much to do.
Well, the key thing about, that Nashville location really set the bar for, what we did from that point on, because I feel like they really nailed it with, fitting in on Broadway, with all the music venues up and down the street. And there's live music in the Nashville location. I think every minute of the day, the only time there's not is when somebody's tearing down and the next band is setting up, and so that kind of set the bar for everywhere else as much as it's possible. Sometimes if we're in a community like Orlando, there may not be a line of musicians in the area that are waiting to get in there and play, but we try the best we can to keep somebody on that stage every second we can. Same with Gatlinburg.
Yeah. With the Christmas coming up, what's one of the home dishes you look forward to eating during the holidays?
Oh my God, man, I love to eat. With Christmas coming up, we have a thing that we've done the last couple of years. Gwen and I, actually the last 4 years, we get on the internet and we try to find the most outrageous, impossible thing to cook that we can. And we normally have a night or two alone that we can practice on these things before the big events start happening. And the first year, I think we made a beef Wellington, which is, I didn't even know there was such a thing. But for me, combining bread and meat was heaven for me. And then the last few years, we've made this thing called I want to see if I can say this right, a timpani or timpani pasta dome. And it's like this, you should Google it whenever we hang up here, because it's like this thing where you put in all different kinds of pasta, different meats, different cheeses, and it's like layers. And then you cook it in this big dough, and then you slice it almost like a cake or something. And, you know, it's the best for just getting fatter and fatter.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And the next one you can try is the barbecue watermelon. It's hit and miss.
Oh, is there such a thing, really?
Yeah, they barbecue watermelon now. It's like a new thing. It's
wow, I'm gonna try that. I wouldn't think that's a Christmas dish, but I'll try it anyway. Screw it.
Yeah, it goes good with vodka.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for taking your time. I mean, you go on Old Red, which is amazing. Nashville, Tishomingo, Gatlinburg, and Orlando. Stop by, enjoy the food. And I think you're going to win this year, number 8 for The Voice.
Right now, the results from last night, we're going to find them out here in a few hours. I guess 5 o'clock Pacific time. So whatever that is for you guys, 8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn and I were talking a while ago. We have no idea. It's a tough year for knowing who's, you know, the best, because there's a lot of good talent this year. So we'll find out in a few hours. I always find out the exact moment that you guys do. They never give me any inside scoop, which you would think after almost 20 seasons they would, but they still don't.
or right before they film, just slide you a note, go, "Hey boss, turn it over," and then walk away.
That's right.
Yeah, they should do that. Well, Blake, again, I'm a big fan of your music. Love it. I can't wait to see you back on tour again. I went to one of your concerts in Brooklyn at the Barclays. It was the best time.
Oh wow, thank you.
Yeah, it's the best show. So if you see Blake, go. It's worth all the money, and you have a great time.
I appreciate it.